should be way better. All right, chat, we should be good now.
He talked about being a hero in Vietnam. Then it was exposed when he said what platoon he was with, and it was exposed that somebody was watching from that particular platoon. They said he was never with us. And then he went out and he cried and he was ready to drop out of the election. And disgraceful. And then he looks at people like Pam and he starts criticizing her, and she's a patriot. And they ought to do something with that. You know, we have a young congressman that's right now in jail for lying about where he went to college and other things. It was, you know, frankly not good. It was pretty bad, but it was nothing compared to Blumenthal. I mean, what Blumenthal did, he was for 20 years a hero, a great war hero. And then he sits back and, you know, sanctimonious kind of a guy, looks down, how dare you do this to the American public, you know? What a fake. But I thought Pam was incredible yesterday, as well as Secretary Kristi Noem, who's really out there courageously, and I appreciate it, Kristi, amazing what you're doing. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's really coming up with some great information, Kash. It's great. Keep it coming, because there's plenty of it. Deputy Attorney General, one of the best lawyers you'll ever find, Todd Blanche, who I know personally is a good lawyer because I'm here. Thank you very much, Todd. Good job, Todd. Let me ask Attorney General Bondi to say a few words, and then we'll follow it up with Secretary Noem and Director Patel. And we're going to have some of the people around the table, very courageous people, and they're going to be talking, journalists, almost all, and they're going to be talking, and we'll take some questions from the press at the end. Okay, Pam, please.
Thank you, President Trump. And as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization. We've seen them on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it. They beat journalists, they attack courthouses, they attack police stations, they dox and assault our law enforcement officers. The Biden administration let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years.
Good, Red Fox.
So did Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him.
Bro?
Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned to blunt their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This
Three
is not
fake
activism,
liars.
it's
Kevin
anarchy.
just out here trying to prove
We
he's
can't
not gay.
and we will not.
What's
let
good, Brian?
mask
As I get older, I find these
burn
people
our
in government
buildings,
trying
attack
too
our
hard.
law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement
South Park?
to
Yeah,
crack
I was
down
thinking
on
that too, bro.
Antifa and
That's
other
funny.
domestic terrorist
AI?
organizations
Nah,
led
this
by
real.
Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going
Bro,
nonstop.
this is a cartoon.
He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this
Trump and
domestic
his whole
terrorism.
administration are highly
We had Apple and
unqualified.
Google take
Don't
down
make
the
fun of
ICE
my
blog
man, baby
apps.
leader.
Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law
I was
enforcement
number one.
officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. just like we did with cartels. We're going to take the same
Chat, they
approach,
speaking
President
facts or
Trump,
no?
with Antifa. Destroy the
Lies,
entire
lies, lies.
organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer
Chat, y'all funny.
tolerate their unhinged violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. Christine.
Chad, was that a good
Mr. President,
speech?
and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country.
If Americans actually get to vote next
Their
year, these
agenda
cons
is
will
to
pay privacy
destroy the
labor
American
bullshit.
people and our way of life. And this president
Trump is the
standing in
realest
their way.
goof
He is stopping them
the
from
two
bringing
ladies
their
act like
death
little
and this
girls.
destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to
Where
raise
the
their
F are
kids
the
and their
Epstein
grandkids
files?
in peace and in safety.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie,
I
you're
want
not
to
getting the
also
Epstein
thank everyone
files, bro.
around this table for being so bold and so brave. For
Red
standing
Fox,
up
a
and
whole ass
recognizing the threat
bitch.
that
Me
Antifa
personally,
is
Red Fox, I
to our
wouldn't
way
take
of
that.
life. By recognizing how advanced they
F
are,
no,
how
they say a whole
sophisticated
lot of
their
nothing every
networks
time they
are, how
speak.
they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with
Bro,
their
Chad, did y'all
tactics
see the
from
South Park
city to
episode
city,
about her?
and how they have built out
I ain't gonna lie, that shit was
mechanisms. And
hilarious.
sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town, and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents,
This
how they have
administration
been
is a joke.
attacked,
What's
how
good,
they have been
Jacob?
shot at,
No one cares
injured,
about
the
Epstein.
damage that they've done.
I don't know
These
about
leaders
that
in these
one.
local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson,
Who ready to see Bad
ignore
Bunny
what's going
men
on,
on
or
their
sir,
lips
they're
at the
helping
Super Bowl?
Antifa cover it up.
What?
We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or
Carlos,
affiliated
a
with
joke.
them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. They have been so bold in making sure we're bringing those individuals to justice. One of the individuals we arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa.
She got some
and
pretty
we are
lips.
hoping that as we go after her, interview
I
her,
mean,
and
yeah,
prosecute
that's
her,
what lip
we will
fizzer
get more
do
and
for
more
you.
information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence
Chat, would y'all
of
hit that? Be
American
honest.
society.
Y'all
I
smashing
want to
that?
thank the new journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to
why
tell
my
the stories. The
frames
networks have not
keep
really
popping,
focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter, it will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the American people
Ever
gave
seen
you a
Norm
sweeping
before the
mandate and a
facial rig?
victory in this election
Nah, I never
cycle,
seen it.
and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided
Kevin,
us
a
with the
Republican,
resources that we need, which is a whole
the
of
ultimate
government
goal of
approach
this
to go
administration
after
wants
criminals absolutely
autocracy.
everywhere,
He's
not
the
just
mind that
outside
Kevin
of
is
this
a
country, but
lame.
within this country.
Kevin thinks
And that
about
takes a
all his
whole of
kissing more
government
than
approach.
gay
The
men.
interagency seated
Bad
up here
Bunny wear
with the
dresses
Department
and
of Homeland
kisses men.
Security, our Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, including Stephen Miller's leadership,
Delusional.
has allowed us to go out there and
Levi,
map out these networks.
Kevin
What
on
we
the
are doing
Epstein
at the
list.
FBI is simple. It
Why y'all
does
going
not
in on
require
Kevin like
rocket
that?
science. We are following the
The
money.
fun is not really
Money
fun.
never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down
Nope,
this
I'm just
network
not a trigger
of
snowflake.
organized criminal thugs,
Antifa is not an
gangbangers,
organization.
and yes,
She is
domestic
lying.
terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming
Antifa
everyday
is an
citizens in every single one of our
ideological
communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live lifetime because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Lance, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless
Republicans are
leadership to
sheep.
go
They
after
don't think
criminals
too
wherever they
hard,
are.
so just
They
use
will
hate to
not be
dry
able
their
to hide.
beliefs.
They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations,
Trump.
and we are exposing their corruption.
Children,
from within.
I'm giving facts
We will go
too.
to every single city in this
He
country
got
under
stated on his
Operation
pinky
Summer
ring.
Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI
Cash is on
to
crack.
bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is.
There is no
it will
gold
be
in Fort
crushed
Knox.
by
It's
the
on-
Constitution
it's all
because
on
the
Wall
American
Street.
people deserve law and
Kevin
order,
believes in
and that's what we're
imaginary
gonna give you.
things now.
Thank you very much, Cash. Great job. Maybe we'll start over here. Would any of you like to say something? Feel free. You can say it in front of a fine group of people, also journalists and reporters.
Yo, Kevin, why you keep talking about Bad Bunny, bro?
Absolutely. President Trump, members of the cabinet, really appreciate you guys bringing this together. And the fact that we are here today on such short notice shows how serious you guys are taking this issue of trans terrorists and frankly, the cities and police departments that are cooperating with Antifa, such as Portland. I mean, the Portland politicians are literally willing to sacrifice their own citizens just to appease these Antifa terrorists. It's sickening. I've seen it firsthand, obviously. When I went to jail that night, never expected it to happen. I thought that they were maybe removing me for my own safety. It never crossed my mind that I was the one that was being arrested for a crime after I was just thrown into a hole. I heard from the Department of Homeland Security after I had gotten out of jail, and one of your, I won't say exactly who it was, but somebody very close to Secretary Noem over here said that they were legitimately worried for my safety in the Portland jail. But luckily the Portland jail was, I was the only one there, essentially, because they don't actually arrest people in Portland, besides conservative journalists, I guess. So look, I'm glad that it was not a good night for me. Let's just say that. It was not fun sitting in that jail, but I'm glad to see what has come of it. And I've been able to talk to a bunch of FBI agents, ATF agents, DHS agents that I didn't even know existed until I went there and went to that ICE facility. And the morale is at an all-time high. It is so exciting to see these guys know now that they have the backing of the Secretary, the DOJ, as well as the President of the United States, and they are there to do their job. They are going to fulfill this mission and deport these violent criminals. I believe one of the ones that I did a ride along with Secretary Noem yesterday, President Trump, and there was a pedophile that had come into the country 5
Not a Bunny
times
fan, don't know
over
if he's
the
gay,
past
but isn't
7
Elton John
years.
gay? He's
7
there to
years.
halftime
And,
show.
Apparently under the
Antifa
Biden
is the
regime, that was
title
just
we give to
allowed
people
happen.
who
That was
hate
fine.
America.
No problem.
Everybody in that room is
It's
gay.
concerning to me that you're seeing the Portland
Keep Trump
Police
away from
Department,
Noam. She's a
as
little
well as
girl.
the governor of Oregon,
Anyone can get the smoke.
and the mayor,
Snitch.
of course,
Your mom
coming
got the
out
smoke.
and running defense for pedophiles
Gay
that have entered the
Trump
country illegally 5
administration.
times.
The big,
It's-
beautiful
it's
bill will add
crazy.
4 trillion
I'm
to the
glad
debt.
it's taking a
Trump is your
front row
daddy.
seat in the media. And, they're being forced to talk about it in reality because, we're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on. Much of the legacy media has been either ignoring it or covering for Antifa for years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
That's right. I saw that.
took this flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
I saw it. Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General, and let's start prosecutions.
Yeah, I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have two of them from
Well,
the
you
same
also
guy.
saw what happened when that flag started burning.
Trump couldn't give
Everyone
two
went
shits.
crazy. And that's when
Oh,
it
the
started,
Kevin
when they
Lee.
started burning the flag. So thank you. If you
ICE
could
is
give me
kidnapping
information,
citizens
it would be
off the
great.
street to
Absolutely.
fulfill
And
a
at least that
quota.
horrible night
Big
made you
orange
famous.
joke. We don't believe you.
I got a text from
Putting
the
blue
President
hair
of the United States,
lunatics
so I
in
appreciate
asylums.
that.
And President
Keep
Trump,
on
after that
trumping.
happened to Nick, I called Harmeet Dillon, and we
This is
opened
just a
pattern and
kiss
practice
Trump's ass
investigation
meeting.
into the Portland
Nah, they
police
is all
very
glazing
publicly
Trump.
as to how they let this happen.
Thank you, sir.
OMG, this
Mr.
dude in a
President, you're
plaid
gonna-
is such a
Brandy Cruz,
dork ass
You're going to
loser.
hear us be
Man,
very
chat,
fired
y'all
up today,
hilarious.
and you can tell, and it's because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. And I'll also tell you that I think that had you not done, the single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said
They're
we're
all
going to bring the full weight
dork-ass
of the federal
losers.
government to bear. I talked to Katie Daviscourt in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who was in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off,
I never liked the orange
they're
bastard.
nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Please.
I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump
Chad, they
derangement.
glazing Trump.
You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not
So
here to
many
convince
frauds
any of
in one
you
room.
that Antifa is a real thing. Because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you.
Trump isn't
I
even
was a
in the top
mainstream
30
reporter in Seattle for
presidents.
10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets
Trump
doing
is
my
not
job,
acknowledging
and I
their
was still
existence and
assaulted
what
by
they are
Antifa.
talking about.
So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that
It's just a
Democratic
man-child
politicians wouldn't
getting
be
his
honest
cheeks
about what was happening,
squeezed.
I thought, well, gosh,
Bro, Chad,
if they're
all
not being
hilarious,
honest about
dude.
that, maybe they're not being honest
Trump is
about
at the
President
bottom.
Trump either. And it opened my mind to just
Trump
looking
is
at
the
things for what they
greatest
were.
president.
And now I
Losers
find
like
you
y'all
quite
are on
funny,
the way out.
actually. No, it's like I said, I'm much happier about
Trump
it.
would have
but,
owned
you know,
hella
for me, again,
sleeves.
I
Trump's
could
dad
not
got
care
arrested
less
3
the stories
times
that they would
marching in
print.
KKK rallies.
This is what I care about. We have
Gross
3.5
ass people.
years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think
These
if
guys
Democrats
are
keep it up, we'll
snowflakes.
probably have Republican presidents for
Time
the
to
next
go
3
to work,
decades.
nigga.
But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to, I don't care what the media says, I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this
Trump
fact.
is in the
So we
basement
want
of
the federal
presidents.
government to take as many of these
Trump is
cases
at
as
the top.
possible. Look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts. And hopefully
Chad, y'all
in
think
3.5
Trump one of the
years,
top presidents?
they will be a shell.
Y'all
of their
think he in the
former
top 10?
selves.
Close to done, and it's Antifa and many others,
Yes.
unfortunately. There are many others, bad ones. Most have been named terrorist organizations. There are a couple that we're going to.
Grindr on every
I think
single
we'll
one of
get
their
it pretty well
phones.
covered, but there
What
are
is
many others,
Grindr?
but very specifically today, it's Antifa.
Chad, what is
and it's
Grindr?
really bad, and we're going to get it cleaned up. Andy, do you have something? Thank you very much. I'm glad you no longer have TDS. I feel very good about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the cabinet. I have a lot of gratitude and a little bit about my background. I'm born.
Trump is the worst
Oregon,
we've
from
had.
there.
Hell
And
nah,
growing
the
up,
worst.
It's always been
In the
left-wing,
bottom
very
5.
progressive, and I liked it. It had cafes and artists
Damn, Chad.
and those who lived a bohemian lifestyle.
Trump's
And in
top 10
2016,
pedophiles and con
I
men.
was a graduate student at Portland State studying
Grindr is a
science,
hookup
was an
app?
editor at the student paper there.
A
very
gay
progressive
hookup
paper.
app?
and I was assigned to
Oh,
cover
wow.
the election night demonstrations.
Bro, you
Well,
know what
the
Grindr is?
elections night
I literally
protests
never heard
turned
of that
to
before.
Riots, 3 days of violent rioting in
I heard
Portland,
of
and it was
Tinder.
the first time
I never
that
heard of
saw
Grindr though.
groups dressed in black with their faces
Is
covered.
it bad to
This is
have
4
Grindr
years
on the
before
phone in
COVID.
2025?
Some of them
I
were
mean, hey
waving
man,
the black
if you swing
flag
that
of
way, you
anarchism,
swing that
some
way. Shit.
the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street.
The administration would never be about the
another.
business of the American people.
And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which
Trump
I
will
still
go
read
down
at
in
that
history
time, and
as the
look forward
worst
to
U.S. president.
and I looked up to those journalists.
It's
and I
actually
was
mostly
really
used by
shocked to
gays, but
see
there are
that
women,
the
trans, and straights on
narrative
Grindr.
was that these,
So it's
in my
mostly
view,
used by gay people,
anti-democratic
but straight people also be
political
on there.
violence
Bro, you might as well go on Tinder then.
legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism. Or all
Trump
these other
destroyed the
lies.
constitutional
And so
rights
for
we're
the
supposed to
next
have. No other president
4
ruined our
years, I
rights
just
and put
continued
straight
going out
lies,
with my
even
video
when we
camera. I
fact check
thought,
them
look,
live.
people can ignore
It's
what
just
I write
hypocritical
because
because
it's spin, but
Republicans are
videos
all
can
over the
quite
app.
speak for themselves. And in
Wait, so Grindr is a gay app that
2019,
anybody
it
can
led to
use,
me
but it's
nearly
full of
losing my
Republicans?
life. I
Are
was
y'all dead ass
covering
chat, or are y'all
another
just saying that y'all don't
Antifa
like Republicans?
protest turned riot at that point had been routine in Portland.
In the
then I was
last 25
ambushed
years,
in
we
a
have
mall
had
meeting.
5 government
And I
shutdowns,
had
4
never
of them
been in a
under
fight.
Trump.
I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until
Yes,
seconds
but the
in.
problem is
And
a
the
new one
punches
every
came
few
from
years, and
everywhere,
policy doesn't
on my
change
head
in
and my
Russia. The
face, and I
leader
was
stays the same, but policy.
bleeding out of my eyes and ears.
Trump
And
will
then
go
they
down
threw
the
all the
most
drinks in my eyes to
divisive
humiliate
president.
me further and to laugh at me.
Grindr is just a
And
gay
I was
version
rushed
of
to the
Tinder.
hospital in a
The
ambulance.
Republican
and
National
CT
Convention
scan, and I had
crashes
subsequent
Grindr during their national convention.
hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And
Tinder
after
is literally
surviving
Grindr,
that,
but marketed
the
to everyone equally, not just gays.
reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me
Where is the
far-right.
Epstein files?
And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which
Why
I
your
did
profile
provide.
pic look like
This
me?
felt so. It's like because I didn't die in that attack.
I say
There
Trump
was
is
another
the
round of
worst,
people
the
who
third
wanted to
worst
finish me
president.
off.
We only getting beat
But
by
I continued,
Jair
and then
Buttigieg
2020,
and Andrew Johnson.
Portland was really the epicenter of the longest
There's a
political
closeted gay
violence.
circle and a
Those
right-wing
months of
circle,
riots, I was
lots
on the
of
ground,
closeted
undercover,
MAGA,
and there was an
because feminists will
assassination
cut all
there. There was
contact
a
if they found out.
supporter of Donald Trump named
The government
Aaron
shuts down
Danielson, who
every
was shot
budget.
dead
It's
by
not
a
new.
self-described
They
Antifa
get a
member
free
who then
big
fled out
cake.
of state and died in a
Shout out to
shootout with
everyone.
U.S. Marshals.
Shout out to everyone on the left. Hold
In
the line.
2021, I
Fuck this
returned
fascist
undercover,
bullshit.
naively thinking that enough time had passed, and was chased through the streets of downtown and beaten, nearly choked out. The person who was trying to choke me out held me so tightly that I had the blood, the vessels in my eyes burst.
What is this guy talking
So one of the
about?
symptoms were my eyes were completely red after that, and I was hospitalized. So thank you so much for acknowledging Antifa and for directing your administration to treat them as domestic terrorists. It's going to be really challenging because how they organize is that they are decentralized, autonomous, and they operate on deception. And we're still to this day told that they don't exist, that it's a figment of our imagination. I think the DOJ could look at federal conspiracy charges. The state of California and San Diego County last year broke up an Antifa cell in San Diego. And I think maybe perhaps the State Department should designate Antifa its international arm as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO. So thank you so much for this invitation, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Andy. Great. That's a rough time you had, huh? So the chokeout was almost the end, you felt?
Yeah, that was my only near-death experience in my life, and I'm quite shaken when I think about it now. It really feels unbelievable to me that on the streets of America that this type of violence against citizens could become so routine and accepted and cheered on by people. Although, in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Kirk's assassination, we saw again that type of depravity play out on quite large swaths of the left. So there's a deep sickness that's in this country right now, and it pains me a lot to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you look at Portland, and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, I mean, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong. It's almost like, are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids, I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie as bad. And then the governor will get up and say, I don't know why they're coming here. It's such a wonderful place. And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people that live there, many of them have left, but the real people want us to be there. The same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over a short period of time, murders, people that got shot. They've had hundreds of people shot, and then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up, he's got a 5% approval rating, and the people are all against him. They want people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime.
Chad, did he say beautiful black women?
It's National Guard and military. Send in anybody you want, stop the crime. And they're afraid to go out. They can't even go out. And then a guy like Pritzker, think of that, 50, 60, 70 people over a short period of time murdered, actually murdered, mostly gun violence, but knives, but gun violence, they're murdered, and hundreds of people shot. They had one weekend where they had like 18 murdered and 71 shot. But they said, you know what their excuse is? Yeah, but it was a long weekend. In other words, it was a long weekend, so that was okay. And then Pritzker gets up and he says, like,
that profile pic is
I don't know what they're
diabolical.
talking about. We don't have crime here. They're crazy. I think actually they're petrified. You know, their families live there, everything else. I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guy's a loser. But you know what? They actually,
The guy's a loser.
I believe they're scared. They're actually frightened for their lives. Jack, please say a few words.
Trump is low IQ. He is projecting. His ratings
Mr.
higher than
President,
yours,
thank you so
Trump.
much for having us here today.
Don't do
and
Shaggy like that.
holding this,
Yeah,
this
Shaggy was
roundtable.
zoinked in my
Antifa is
profile
real.
picture. I ain't gonna lie, Jack.
Antifa has been around in various iterations for
Inciting violence against the
almost 100
left is
years
how
in
an
some instances, going back to the
authoritarian
Weimar
party
Republic in
keeps
Germany.
power. Trump's such a
And
liar. If there
it's
is a
now
problem,
been
it's because Trump's
just under
causing it.
1
Trump
month
just wants to put on martial
since
law. He wants
we
control like
saw
Hitler did.
far
Trump has to
leftist
go.
murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie
This clown
Kirk.
loves
The
an
sickness
audience
that's
and
out
a
there is
camera.
absolutely real. And Mr. President,
Spoke
thank you
like
for
the loser
mentioning
he is.
the fact
Chat, y'all do
one
not
of the
like
bullet
Trump, huh?
casings read, "Hey, fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around the world, around this room,
Bro, he probably saw
have-
one
have
person
studied
wearing a hat and
Antifa.
turned
We're
it
very
into a
familiar
crowd of
with
people.
these
This man is
symbols.
delusional.
And Mr. President,
He's
I
showing
think
his
the
dementia
situation
the
is
more he
getting
opens
worse.
his mouth.
When you look at people like Luigi
Man, chat, y'all funny.
in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and
Trump
more
promised to end
murderous
Ukraine war
violence.
in 24
And
hours.
This same
Now he wants to
violence
arm NATO.
is
He's
not
useless.
just random,
Never liked
it is
Trump.
targeted assassinations,
More
which are getting
Charlie
worse. And
Blubber.
every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff,
Wait, chat, who is this
we are
right here?
now under that threat
Who is this
every
lady?
single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team. And I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare,
To be honest, I
people
didn't.
say, you know, what was it like to speak?
To
in
be
front
honest,
of
I didn't mind
all those
Charlie
people? It
Kirk
was horrible.
till I saw
Every
his
second of
honest
it was
story
horrible.
victim, and he lost
But
all
we're
my
not going to
respect.
quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are
Montana.
continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop, but they need to stop, and they will
Hey,
not
buddy,
stop
speak for
until
yourself. That's
they
what
are
I would have
stopped.
said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it very much. One thing I have to say is that Washington, D.C. was
All
almost
Americans
as
are
bad.
so
I don't
brainwashed.
know what could be worse
Sorry,
than
the
Portland.
people
They
that
don't even
run
have
the
stores anymore.
Democratic Party,
They
run
don't
the
even put
Republican
glass up.
Party.
They put plywood
They're
on their
dividing and
windows.
destroying
But
America
most
from
of
the inside out. Too
retailers have
brainwashed
left.
to see it.
Washington, D.C. was so bad, and Pam, I'd say it took 12 days to really make it pretty good and a month to make it great. And now people are going out to dinner. The restaurants are booming. They don't have enough seats. They're opening up new restaurants because many of them closed. And people are walking down the street totally safe. A reporter, I'm not sure if she's there. I can't see somebody reported it. She is. She was violently assaulted. And I don't know, she tends to be somewhat liberal, but she wasn't liberal. in
Man,
this
how many
one.
people
I
in this room
appreciate
that got
your honesty,
assaulted?
but,
God dang.
that won't happen again. It won't happen again. You're lucky you're
Seem like
alive,
everybody in this
frankly,
room then
before
got
that,
assaulted
but I know
by
exactly
somebody.
what took place. So Washington, D.C., our capital, we thought we'd start there appropriately. And
You guys
it's
give
safe,
Trump a
and
man who wouldn't
people
even
are
talk
so
4
happy.
years, and it hasn't
They're
been
so
1 year
happy.
for Trump.
And now it's a couple of months. I went to dinner there. I felt totally safe. I gave a press conference right in the middle of the street, which don't think Secret Service was thrilled about. But, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to do it 6 months ago. It's incredible what happened. Now we're in Memphis. As you know, we're having a great
This is
impact in
nothing but a
Memphis.
gay
It's,
chat, and they
been,
can't win in a
only
presidential
a week,
election.
But it's, Cash, I hear it's been amazing what's happening there just very early. But you take a look at D.C. and you take a look at some of the other. We've had a big impact. What we haven't said, because Pritzker said, well, crime is going down in Chicago. Well, 5 months ago, Cash went to Chicago with a lot of FBI agents just to prepare it so that we went in with, I guess you could call it a surge, call it whatever you want, but would be even more effective. And we're going to be doing that and very, very strongly doing that because Chicago is a very unsafe city. It's a great city. The head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, sir, please save Chicago. It's a great city. It can be saved. Other cities are gone. I mean, they're lost. They can get better, but they're just really, they've been so decimated.
All the presidents come from the
But,
exact same
I'm
royal
so proud of
bloodline
what
since the
they've done
1600s.
so quickly in
How is that
D.C.,
not
and it's
rigged?
taking
The whole
place
system
quickly
is
in
rigged. Everything you
Memphis,
see on the news
where
is
we
fake.
were asked to
Too
go by the mayor
brainwashed
and
to
by
see it.
the governor. And it's really incredible what we can do and how fast we can do it. Let's go for two more. Would you like to go? And then Katie, you'll go, okay? Please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why they're such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it if we have large swaths of these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a
Wait, Chad, how are all the presidents related?
They don't have a national headquarters, so how can
did that happen?
law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? It was law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC. They don't have official membership cards. They don't have a business address, but law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up, randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it. And so I've been very well aware
Chad,
of
what is this
Antifa's
dork
been
talking
doing.
about?
I was very busy during the riots in 2020. That was probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up around. Like I said,
Bro said, unfortunately, he's not even proud of where he's from. I can't even think I'm serious, Chad.
Probably one of the most disturbing parts about that is, in addition to Antifa being present, they were tagging the streets with CJNG, which is Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is a cartel. So you have these people who are working basically in concert
should
with
check
other
the guy in the
terrorist groups
white
to say
shirt.
that we're here, we're present, and we're gonna attack federal agents and people who are gonna expose what we do. And so, to be clear, Political violence, sustained political violence that we're seeing in this country is not a both sides issue. I was, I was at Charlie Kirk's memorial.
Bro, why would you say that about your hometown?
Conservative gathering. Totally
Oh,
peaceful.
no, bro. He
It was the
glazing.
most peaceful gathering that I've been at. Every other time that I've been covering violence in the streets.
Google
just
it,
this
look
year,
it up while you're over there.
Just this year, it's
12-year-old
always
girl
been
and her
from
grandfather
left-wing
look through their
people,
bloodlines
radical
and through
left-wing people.
they're
And
in
it's not even
history
just
and they
Antifa.
all come from the same royal bloodline.
The shooting that happened in, the defensive shooting that happened in the Chicago area, that wasn't someone dressed in black bloc. That was just somebody that had taken upon themselves to go out and try to interfere and ram federal vehicles. So people are becoming more and more radicalized, and it was to be expected, unfortunately. And the reason why we're in this position today is because after I was done covering the riots, I was at the border from the San Diego sector all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley sector, covering the border crisis month after month. And we all knew the solution to that. We all knew why it was happening. It's because, well, it's racist to have a border. It's like, well, actually, it's not, but okay. And so it required you to come back into office and to fix the problem, but it's no longer just a border issue. It's a nationwide issue, and that's one of the reasons why you got elected back into office, because thankfully the American people said we're not going to deal with it anymore. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, as we've seen, who are willing to take to the streets to do violence. And that's a scary thing, because typically when I was in 2020, I was covering Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. I was over in Chaz, and that was to be expected. But now, because the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, is so widespread, riots can happen anywhere. Attacks can happen anywhere. So that's why it was weird kind of going back to my home state to cover this violence. I mean, just after the Dallas shooting, they were chanting outside Broadview, shoot ICE, shoot those, efforts, shoot those efforts. So I'll just leave that. Thank you so much.
Chad, I can't take him serious. He ashamed where he from. I lost all respect for him when he said that.
We don't work for companies that have billions of dollars. We're running and gunning often on our own. We became friends. A lot of us are friends because we would see each other all the time, and we became friends because we wanted to have someone watch our back while we're out there. Because like I said, we're just out there. And
Tom over here.
We'll continue to do it because it's an important topic. It's an important issue. The American people deserve to know what's happening in these chaotic situations, and we're more than happy to do it.
How do they always hear the American people then, but don't hear us when we ask for the Epstein files? You know what?
Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor being here today, and I first wanted to start by thanking
Bro, Chad, why they all glazing Trump, bro? Like, they all meat munching him. Like, we get it.
you guys for designating Antifa a terrorist group. Is exactly what this group is.
My
It's a long
nose
time
itching.
coming. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening
Chad,
in
who runs
Portland
Antifa?
at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months,
You a
and this is
Diddy
a call
boy?
out to corporate
What?
media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials.
On it,
The
bro.
Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets.
She is talking nonsense, but she can do the vertical mamba with me any
for
day.
Portland police to come,
What is-
and he never came.
But what is that?
Then that's what opened to my eyes to what this group is actually doing.
Black
I
Eye
watched
Club.
20 Antifa militants help my assault suspect escape into an Antifa safe house. that is 1 block away from the ICE facility. And this safe house is where Antifa-affiliated protesters are conducting paramilitary operations. It's where they're arresting, they're showering, they're eating to continue this occupation. I have staked out this safe house and have observed shift changes. This group is highly organized. It is being funded through mutual aid groups, and they have no plans of stopping. Residents living across the ICE facility have been held hostage by Antifa. They're begging for federal intervention. The city refuses to help.
The
and
black
they
eye
want
is literally
President
from
Trump to
getting
come in
meat
and
slapped in
restore
the eye.
law and order. I want to stress the importance of taking this situation seriously, because when I first started reporting on this occupation, I went undercover in Black Bloc. I talked to these Antifa militants. I lasted for about a month. They believe that ICE agents are the Nazi Gestapo who need to be killed. They told me that directly, and I think that if this situation is not taken as seriously as it is, it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Katie. That's pretty incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why
She
you're
needs
doing
to
it is
find a
because
real
the
job.
same media that's sitting in
What
this
happened
room
to
with
her
us
eye?
has declared all of us at this table Nazis and fascists, and they've been doing this for years. This is why Antifa feels emboldened to attack us. Now, almost every single person at this table has been threatened with a steel bat. We've been assaulted, we've been harassed, we've been threatened, and that is in huge part due to the media. So my message right now is for you guys, because 2 years ago, back in 2020,
Wait, hold
by
up,
the
Chad.
way,
Who this is?
I was censored for my reporting on Antifa here in Washington, D.C. You were talking about how safe it is now, Mr. President. It wasn't so safe back then. Back in 2020, I watched as a father was being mobbed and surrounded by Antifa members as his terrified, crying children looked on and the police here did nothing. I watched as a woman had her hair violently ripped out of her skull simply for waving an American flag on the streets of Washington, D.C. And by the way, if you guys try to go and find any of this footage, you won't find any of it because Twitter deleted all of it because our president shared my reporting and they deleted my entire account immediately after. So now, if you want to know what happened in 2020, all you're going to see is the media headlines that said it was fiery but mostly peaceful. Thanks for that one, CNN. The reality is that it was an extremely violent period of time, and for the last 10 years, Antifa has been wreaking havoc on law-abiding and innocent American citizens, and it needs to end. Now, I'm with Turning Point USA. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the administration, for giving us a seat at the table, because the media has not only been demonizing us for so long, but immediately after the brutal assassination of our founder, Charlie Kirk, our Turning Point USA chapters have seen an uptick in violence across the nation as Antifa chapters that are embedded in our universities go and target them. It's been extremely difficult to report on the ground, and for a long time I was afraid to go to Portland because I knew that the only people who would have my back, like Julio said, were one of my friends on the ground because there is no police force there. I was terrified to go because I knew if I got shot or stabbed, and I have been assaulted, I've been mobbed and robbed in Austin, Texas by Antifa.
Bro, everybody in this
nobody
room
would
swear
come
they
to
got
help me.
assaulted before.
So my plea to the entire administration, especially to the DOJ, is
What's
every
good,
single
Warwick
radical
01?
left-winger who is in front of the ICE facility in Chicago, in New York, in Portland, please make sure that you use the full force of the law to come after each and every single one of them, because it is us being soft on left-wing violence that has fomented all of the terror that we have seen in this country, and it is the left wing getting away time and time again with assaulting law-abiding American citizens that has led us to this place. So truly, to the Americans that I speak to on the ground,
Look,
they
this
feel
lady right here,
completely
she on her
abandoned
phone. She don't even
by
care
their
about what they
state
talk
and local
about.
government.
Look,
So please step in.
she all
You
on
have
her
Americans
phone.
begging for the National Guard, and to the media over here, please report on the truth. Please do your jobs. I'm an American citizen. Everybody at this table simply views ourselves as American citizens who have an iPhone and the will to actually tell the truth. So please
Bro
take
said
your
you're too
job
young to know
seriously
anything.
and tell the truth to the American people. And thank you for letting me be here on behalf of Charlie to continue his legacy of cleaning up the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, you feel very strongly, I can see.
I'm mad. I got beat up so many times, Mr. President. My friends have gotten beaten up.
Stop it.
I
She
wanna
ain't get
cry
beat
right now
up.
from happiness because we have been completely ignored for so long. For almost 10 years, we've
I
been getting
believe that
assaulted
the
on
woman with the
streets. I have
black eye
watched
got beat
children
up
cry
before her.
as their parents have been attacked on the streets. That should not be happening at our nation's
The
capital.
guy on the right is so cute.
Please, again, the DOJ,
She talking about
please
me,
utilize
chat.
the full force and go after each and
Appreciate
every
you,
single one of these
Elizabeth.
people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Great job. Impassioned. That's important because you should feel like that. Please, go
I
ahead.
think she meant to say the guy on the top, chat.
Mr. President, thank you for
What's that
having us
mouth
here
thing you
for
keep doing?
this,
Why you worrying about what
panel
I'm
of
doing, gang?
brave-
Watch the
brave
video.
Journalists, everybody on this side of the room, and no one can speak to the violence better than these people here. So I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex,
appreciate you, Elizabeth.
Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society
can't
network,
stop
it's
licking
other
his
funding
ass.
networks, the
Nah,
Arabella
facts.
funding
That
network,
is
the
facts.
Tides funding network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country.
Is this live?
Of
I
Switzerland.
mean, I'm watching
They're
it live,
pouring
but
money
this
into
video isn't
entire
live.
Ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number one, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number two, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then 3, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call Riot Inc. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership, for the whole cabinet's leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Or Christy.
Yeah, we'll do that.
As soon as you can. That's all of you.
Boy, I don't know none of the names, Chad. He just talk.
Know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's treasonous, probably. So if you could, very important, if you could do that, that would be great. Nobody would know better than you. You'll figure it out. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Nick Shirley. I'm 23 years old. I'm a 100% independent YouTube journalist. And over the past year or so, I've been able to go to 15 countries. I've hung out with people in the gangs of Brazil, in the favelas, in the prisons of Secot. But yet the most dangerous places I have been here in the United States, unfortunately. And I've had the opportunity to show people about the protest Antifa here in the United States, and there's nothing organic about what they are doing here in the United States. I've watched people be bussed in from states. I've watched the same lady at a protest in Atlanta be bused to the protest in DC and then in New York City. There's nothing that is honest about what they are doing. And they have signs. I've seen the same signs here in DC and in London as well. It's a big organization and corporation that they're running. And people may wonder, like, what's the threat to us as Americans if we go? Well, you'll be labeled as a fascist, you'll be labeled as a Nazi, and they'll wish death upon you because they wish death upon me. And just last week in Portland, Oregon, I watched a lady get trapped in her car, surrounded by Antifa, and her sister messaged me after seeing the video. She said, the only reason I think my sister was safe is because you were there recording. I also was chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me, and next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, who knows what would have happened that day. These people are very dangerous, and people wonder how they're able to do it. It's the reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law. And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America.
Shit, he thought that was so cool. He rehearsed that before he said it on this. He like, oh yeah, they gonna love that one.
Thank you very much. It's too bad you have to go through it.
I know, it's
thank
a
you
little
very
crazy,
much.
right, Mr. President?
Well, you're going to get to the bottom of it. So
That boy said he been in the gangs of the favelas, and he said America is worse. Stop.
that's a very important thing you're doing. Thank you very much.
I seen what the favelas look like, bro. There's no way America is worse than that.
I'm attacked every time I do my job. When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So
They
my
saying
question
the
for all of
same
you
thing every
is, how
time.
would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Stop saying we're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do.
No, we don't want to do that.
Would you say is the
There's a
worst, if I
difference.
could ask?
Oh man, yeah, that's a
I
real
mean,
tight spot.
honestly, it's a simple question. And it's just,
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them. So I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly
who would
talking
you
about.
say, which network would you say?
MSNBC.
Bro, he
for
gets
sure.
assaulted every day.
Terrible. I agree. That's
CNN, probably
CNN.
close.
Bro then put up with no scars on his face in this
NBC,
expensive suit
that's
talking about he
Ryan
get
Roberts.
assaulted every time he leave his
That
house.
he allows
Stop
that to
it.
happen is a disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah,
I would say
Where do they
CNN is
live
not
that they
quite
get
as bad
attacked
as
when they leave the house?
MSNBC
That's
is
what
not
I'm
really a
wondering.
news site anymore.
Oh,
Bro said he get
MSNBC
assaulted
is
every time he
Yes.
step out his house. Come on now,
Sir,
Chad.
it's also just the
This man
stories
don't
that
have
they
not a
publish
scratch on
about
him.
What's the ICE enforcement operations that are so heavily slanted that it's no longer, as I was saying, no longer just Antifa, but Americans that are becoming radicalized. So they've been very irresponsible with how they've been reporting
Who
on
is
it.
that?
Every video he is
For
always
example,
starting problems
Would you
with
rate
peaceful
them the worst?
protesters,
Probably.
immigrants, or
They-
homeless.
they
Who
ran
would
a
you rate
story-
second?
Well, they ran a story about an operation in Southern California about how a father of 3 Marines was arrested, and they made it seem like they just did it because he's brown. But there's video of that same man charging at the agents with a weed whacker. Now, I've worked with weed whackers back in the day, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those. So that's why he was arrested, but the story was presented as if it's a brown guy just simply being arrested. And I've been around ICE agents, and I'm a citizen, so I feel fine. But it's just
Yeah, Chad. I ain't gonna lie, Chad. He said he ashamed of his hometown. Bro, he's a coon, bro. If he was black, we would call him a coon, bro. Like, he's ashamed of where he from. He ashamed of his race. Like, shaking my head, bro.
It's not just Antifa. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's
No, it's
multiple
working in
factors.
conjunction. I think they work in conjunction with some of the media. I think ABC is very bad. I think NBC is very bad. And CBS has a new owner, so we have hope for CBS. CBS has a great new owner, my opinion. But I will tell you, ABC is terrible. NBC is terrible. NBC's MSNBC too. They changed it. They moved it over legally so they couldn't be tainted by the words MSNBC, but they are absolutely terrible. There are a lot of them. What about independents? Independent networks.
They're a little bit better, but I would say that we're an example of how you don't need to be part of a super large company to be able to do just basic journalism. All you got to do is sit and record, and you'll let the story play out. And that's why they hate us. That's why Antifa
Well, I
targets
watched
us.
a level of dishonesty that's incredible, where answers are changed. Like just before the election, an answer was changed by Kamala, she gave a horrible.
They're all telling the same
death-defying
narrative to get people to believe it, and people in America are stupid
answer.
enough to believe it
And they took
whenever
the
they
answer
show
out
it
and they
and say
replaced
to
it
you
with
guys
another
to believe
answer
it.
that she gave 5
Yeah, I ain't
minutes
gonna lie,
later,
Chad. They are all
having to
saying
do
the
with a
exact
different
same
subject,
thing.
but
They
at least it
all
wasn't
claim they get
election
assaulted
defying.
every day.
Yeah, no,
Like,
the
come
level
on now,
of
gang.
dishonesty with the media is incredible, whether it's on Antifa or many of the other groups.
Like,
You're
Chad,
talking
they
about
literally
Antifa,
all
and I know
said
that's
they've been
close to your
assaulted
heart because
before
that's the one that's
for
most
doing their
affected you,
job.
but there are others that are as bad or almost as bad as Antifa, having to do with
The man with the
different
weed
people,
eater
different
didn't
sections of
attack.
the
3 of
world.
his sons are
It's
currently
terrible.
U.S.
We're not going to
Marines.
let it go on in this country.
These
We're not
people
gonna let it
talking
go
are
on.
garbage.
And a big problem is not all of them, but some of the networks out there. And you do wonder why. You really do.
Do you see
Okay,
how uncomfortable
please.
they all look? They're all lying.
Go ahead, yeah.
Mr. President, thank you again.
This-
Thank you.
My name's Jonathan
Bro, chat, if this dude right here, he's been assaulted too, I might lose it.
Joe. I am an investigative reporter for Frontlines Turning Point USA. I'm also a senior fellow at Discovery Institute in Seattle. And I cover far-left extremism as well as the homeless drug crisis in America. And I find it oftentimes those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in D.C. in conjunction with Discovery
For real,
Institute.
don't know what crap hole
They
red
just put
states
out
they
this
live in,
study
but I'm
right
born
now.
and raised in
And what it
Cali, and it's
shows
beautiful.
is that
Never been
Antifa
assaulted,
is
never even
heavily
looked at
embedded
sideways.
in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many U.S. cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group
Is this
right
a Turning
now that is
Point USA
behind
meeting?
Antifa and working with Antifa
That's what
very
it's seeming
closely,
like.
based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give to you and your team, are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be aligning themselves with
Bro,
Antifa.
what is this guy talking
So
about?
finally, in closing,
Lay
what I
off
wanted
the
to
crack,
thank you
buddy.
again, Mr. President, is that a few months ago, earlier this year, you put out an executive order on homelessness and the drug addiction crisis in America, and that's sent the entire homeless industrial complex on the run. You have absolutely moved the needle and changed the game. But what's also come out, again, is that there is a connection, a deeply embedded connection with the homeless housing nonprofit game in America, connected to Antifa and the far-left activists. And finally, I just wanted to say that all of our resources at Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute are at your disposal, and we will continue, again, to carry on the legacy of Charlie Kirk. He would have wanted us to pursue and chase the
Yeah.
story.
Well, he was a good friend of mine, as you know, and he helped us get elected. Us, it really is us. It's even some of them, but not too many of them, not enough of them. And did you notice when we mentioned CNN and MSDNC, the cameras went off. 2 of the cameras immediately went off, but they're not going to cover it anyway. The problem we have is that this is a very important meeting, but you'll see very little press about it. These are major statements being made by major people, including the people right here, and you're not going to see too much about it. They don't like to cover this kind of thing. So it's very dishonest what's going on there. I think the press is a big factor. Please, go ahead.
Trump don't give a F about
Mr.
Kirk.
President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You know, you did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, I mean, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and you know, a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, you know, enforce basic immigration law. Right?
Chat, I can't trust nobody that's wearing a toupee.
Agree with.
He's scared to even show us what his hair look like, for real. I can't trust him.
Once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, you know, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, you know, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, you know, hunted down and attacked. And so, you know, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020, when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars
Oh yeah,
of damage.
Chad, I know this guy right here gonna have a lot to say whenever he starts speaking. Just look at him.
To property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, you know, oh, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, you know, unfortunately died, and basically suppressing people's voices, you know. And so what I did want to talk about is, to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away,
Appreciate you, Bora.
getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, you know, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront, and it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
One question. So why is it there are numerous groups? I mean, Antifa is terrible, but you have other groups that I guess probably are almost as bad or just as bad. Not one other group was mentioned. I'm sort of surprised at that. You just come into contact with Antifa? It seems to be that you mostly come into contact with Antifa, please.
There's a lot of overlap, and I would say that, for instance, Jonathan brought up the Democratic Socialists of America. They're basically the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Socialists of America who are out there in black bloc, you know, hiding their faces. And so I think we use, and I do understand, for the record, I do understand the challenge, as Andy pointed out, with Antifa as a graspable entity. I do. But at the end of the day, when you look at behavior, you prosecute behavior, right? We're not prosecuting ideas or ideology, you're prosecuting behavior. So whether you can prove that this amorphous thing is Antifa or someone has a patch that says Antifa, it doesn't matter. You know, did they assault someone? Did they assault a federal agent? Were they engaged in rioting? What is it? And so they're always using that, oh, well, they don't call themselves Antifa, even though some of them literally do. It's called Rose City Antifa. How long has it been around in Portland, Andy?
Since 2007.
They call themselves Antifa. In Seattle, I was outside the federal building, and they were yelling, "There's no police here, this is Antifa land." And then at the same time, Democrats, like our governor, oh, Antifa is an idea. But yeah, I think Antifa can overlap with a lot of other entities and organizations.
Okay, very good.
Wait, Chad, somebody subscribe right quick. I'm trying to see
I
something.
just wanted to add this real quick, because you were asking which mainstream media outlet is the worst.
Hopefully it pop
What I
up.
think, it's any of them that decided to call Kilmar Abrego Garcia Maryland Dad. Because when I'm out there on the street talking to these people, you know, they call Maryland Dad is this human, he's actually a human trafficking MS-13 gang member that's illegally in the country. But the amount of people on the street that I spoke with that thought that he was a U.S. citizen that was being deported to Uganda is dangerous. These people genuinely believe, based on what comes out of the garbage standing over here, that you guys are deporting U.S. citizens. So that's what's causing all these
when you
problems.
have a governor like Pritzker in Chicago, where you have Illinois, which is in a lot of trouble, Chicago's there, potentially a great city again. It's not great now, but it could be great again. That's why we have to get there soon, because eventually you can't do that. What makes a man like that say that things are wonderful? Why doesn't he say, we love that President Trump is going to come and help us clean up Chicago and make it safe again, as opposed to fighting us and pretending that there weren't 50 murders and 200 shootings and all of that? Why is that? Go ahead, Nick.
To spite you. To spite the administration. That's simply what it's about at this point. Because, if you go and talk to some of these citizens, like I'll use Portland as an example again, because I've been there for so long now. You talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments next to the ICE facility. There are veterans with PTSD that live there, and they're here all night long, screaming, fireworks being lit off by these rioters, children crying, because they, can't sleep at night and they're scared of all the noise outside, and they can't leave. They can't. They got a lease. You can't just leave. These people aren't wealthy individuals, and that's one of the major problems here. And these people are afraid to come out and speak out, and they're getting no help from their government at all. They've been begging for the noise ordinance to be enforced outside of their apartment complex for months now, and the city of Portland has ignored them every single time. The victims are, as I said, they're afraid, but the governments aren't doing anything because they want to spite the administration. It's all political.
And the politicians make you feel like you're foolish, like there's something wrong. Like, how could President Trump be saying that about Chicago? And yet, the night before, you see that, 11 people were shot, 5 people died, and you have him talking about like it's a wonderful situation. They make you feel guilty. And a lot of people don't get over that. They just don't get over it. I think they convince the people. Do wealthy people leave too or not? Places like Portland, are the wealthy people leaving? People that can leave, are they leaving?
I think that they're moving to the areas that have been gentrified. I mean, the Oregon governor, when she was saying, we don't need Trump here, she's walking around, it's a very tight shot, if you notice that. And she said, Portland's just fine, look at me. And they'll focus on the couple areas of Portland that are very nice. Well, she was saying that,
and there were explosions in the background.
Yeah. I mean, there was a reason they cropped it in.
Explosions in the background. Sure. Anybody have anything else to say over here? And then we'll should we be taking questions, or is it just a waste of time? Because they can ask questions, but, well, there's Brian, he's good. But you know what? In a way, it's a waste of time, because if you give a great answer, they don't put it on. If you give a horrendous answer, or even if you give a great answer, they make it sound like it's not a great answer. They're very dishonest. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I think part of that dishonesty comes from what they see. For instance, I've never been asked to go on any other show besides Fox News. My clips go viral everywhere, but they've never even asked, like CNN's never asked, MSNBC's never asked. And a lot of times when I go to hotels, I'll stay and I'll watch like MSNBC.
Fortunately, their ratings are terrible.
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, it's so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
You ever see their?
Bro said that about Jimmy Kimmel. We seen what happened with that.
Where did these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. that do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, It's just one of those things, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, Nick, you finished, Nick?
Yeah,
Are you
very
finished,
much.
Nick? Good job. Thank you very much. Well, you've been through hell, I tell you that, but you're really incredible patriots, incredible people. Go ahead, please, Brian. Brian, go ahead.
I'm so thankful for each and every one of you here right now, and I'm very grateful that my network, Real America's Voice, has partnered up with many of you. Jack Sobit, you have a show on a network. Many of you, Savannah, have appeared on a network as well, so thank you for being here. My question is this: in terms of following the money, I would just notify that the city of Austin is cleared to vote tomorrow to basically waive a $120,000 fee so that a No Kings, basically an anti-Trump rally can occur in their city. They're bypassing the fees, rolling it to the taxpayers. So my question is to you, what can the people of Austin, Texas do right now to make sure that their tax dollars don't fund a No Kings anti-Trump rally coming up?
Well, you just tell me that I would love to do something about that. Bring a lawsuit, do something. The best thing you can do is have honest elections, because the elections are totally rigged in so many of these places. You take a look. The people, they're all loving you. They can't breathe. They love so much, every one of them. You don't see one negative. Then all of a sudden you lose the election by 20 points. The elections are so rigged, and we proved that in 2020
Ironic.
more than any other time. But even the last election, there were areas that I won by much more. We won in a landslide, but I actually won in more of a landslide than we thought. I said, you got to get out, make it too big to rig. And fortunately, the people...
All right, chat, I'm going to end it off right now, man. I appreciate all y'all for watching. I'm going to be back live tomorrow around 12 a.m. Central Time. You feel me? So if you're on the West Coast, like 10 p.m. for y'all. I appreciate all y'all. Make sure you subscribe so that you're notified every time I go live. And yeah, chat, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Do y'all have any closing remarks y'all want to make before I end the stream? If you want to go finish the video, this is the name of it. President Trump participates in a roundtable on Antifa. And we are at 1 hour and 17 minutes. That's the timestamp. But chat, do anybody have any closing remarks they want to make? Total shyster. This is literally just a Trump rally. Nah, for real though, they ain't have nobody on the opposing side there. Just a bunch of Trump meat riders. Have a good night. Appreciate you, Miss Karina. Republicans are brainless sheep. Don't buy into the left right. All right, chat. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Miss Karina, you look good, by the way.